Everyone has a story.
Great to see you, Kimberly.
You too.
Thanks.
Stories have power.
Sign in, please.
They help us understand each other. This is Jessop's Journal.
Kimberly, thanks again for coming on Jessop's Journal.
Yeah.
What was the first job you had where it actually, like, you had to pay taxes or something, so
Yes.
first paying job?
First paying job. So when I was growing up, my sister and I have this dad that he is just adamant that his kids work. And so from a time of just being really young, we were always, okay, where are you going to work? Where's your first job? What are you going to, oh, you could go there, you could go there. And he was constantly telling us, I mean, we'd be anywhere and he'd be like picking out our future jobs for us. And so of course, I turned 12 years old and it's time for me to have a job.
Oh yeah.
No
pressure, huh?
No pressure. So we fortunately had these friends, and my parents did, and they owned a janitorial service business that cleaned office buildings. And so it was a great job for us, my sister and I at that age, because they would literally come to our house, they would pick us up after school, we would go to the office buildings, we would clean the office buildings, and then they would drop us off.
Okay.
And so it was perfect. And then it was super flexible, and it was only like 2 or 3 hours a night, so it didn't take away from school and fun and all that stuff too. But we had our job, and then our dad didn't have to ask us about our job anymore.
What kind of upbringing did your mother have by chance?
Hers was a very different upbringing. My mom, she was the oldest of 7 kids.
Okay.
And my grandma Betty, she when she was growing up, all she wanted to do was have kids.
Betty?
Yes, Grandma Betty. All she wanted to do was have kids and have fun.
Okay, how many kids did she end up having?
She had 7 children.
Okay, that's a bunch of kids, yeah.
And at age 21, she had 6.
Oh my.
21 had 6 children.
Wow.
She had quite a life.
Yeah.
And one of the things I remember most about my grandma, she told us lots of stories, but something that was really a tender story, really, really tender story, is when she was a young mother, had 6 children, and she had my little aunt at that time, she was 9 months old, and she drowned in the bathtub. Oh. And that really was of course, pivotal moment in the family's life. And my grandma really struggled, obviously.
Yeah.
And my mom ended up, from that experience, just becoming like the mom of the family. She's only 6 years old at the time, and my grandma just doesn't have it about herself to take care of the family after having the baby die. And so my mom really took over that in their life. And my mom was an amazing mother, and she went through a lot of really tough times in her life. And she made a commitment to herself that she would give her kids a totally different life than what she had.
Yeah.
And so that was her commitment in life, and she gave us a really amazing life. My parents, I honor them.
Who believed in you before you believed in you?
My mom.
Your mom.
My mom, yeah. My mom was always, she taught me something that was really important in my life.
What's that?
She taught me that nothing is impossible. Okay. Nothing's impossible.
Okay.
And so the story I have to share that really shares that the most is when we were little, my mom had a beauty salon in her home, and she worked part-time in the house, and that was, so we got to be with our mom. We did,
nice.
Which was awesome, yeah. And it was fun growing up because my mom's clients, we called them the ladies. The ladies were coming over.
Yes.
Yes. Or the ladies coming, and we ended up having these relationships with all these incredible women that would come into our house, and they would become kind of like, family to us. Well, my mom, something that she told my sister and I remember we were sitting in a movie theater, and at the very end of the movie, you know how the credits come up, and she would always point out the hairstylist in the credits.
Okay.
Yes, and she said, one day my name will be there.
Really?
Yes, and here she is, this cute little mom in her house, having part-time in a home salon. Yeah. How is my mom ever going to be in the credits of a movie? Yeah. So this was something that we were little, and we just believed that story about my mom.
Right.
And it was true to us that she would be in the credits one day. Well, a few years go by. I'm now about 18 years old, and my mom gets a phone call. And
Really?
yes, my mom gets a phone call.
Serious?
Yes, I'm serious.
Oh, wow.
And my friend, a really good friend of ours, had called and said, there's a really important person that had their hairstylist is not available,
Okay.
and you're amazing. Would you be available?
Okay.
And so my mom, of course, she's like, yes, I will do that.
Uh-huh.
And so she ends up going and being this stylist and this particular celebrity.
Uh-huh.
She's now been her stylist for over 30 years.
Really?
Yeah, I can tell you it is.
So she got in the credits.
She got in the credits.
Okay.
She's traveled all over the world with this person.
Okay,
Yes.
do tell.
It's Marie Osmond.
Serious?
Yes.
Oh, that's fun.
Yes. So she's
So-
Marie Osmond's stylist.
Well, la-di-da.
Is that awesome?
Geez, I'm interviewing the daughter of Marie Osmond's stylist. Wow.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
So we've had Marie is an amazing woman, and
Yeah.
I've had the opportunity to get to know her, and she is a very special woman.
Huh.
And my mom and her have a just incredible relationship, and that to me, that's an impossible dream. You know, here you are in a home salon with working part time, and to have that dream of being in the credits, and then
Yeah.
here my mom is now living that dream. You know.
Wow. So the question is, did your mom remember to, like her mother, did she remember to have fun?
Oh, okay. So yes. Well, can I tell you about my grandma first?
Sure,
though?
I'd love
Okay.
to.
So my grandma, she lived a life of just fun. Because my mom was a stylist, and occasionally my mom would need to have me babysat by my grandma.
Okay.
And so my grandma and I had a really special bond.
Oh, yeah.
And super good connection. I mean, she was a big part of my life as I grew up. And in fact, before I was 16, my grandma, we would be driving down the road and she would pull over, and then she said, "Get out." I'm like, "What am I doing?" And then she'd get out of the car and she'd get in the passenger seat and she said, "Get in the driver's seat." I'm like, "Why, Grandma?" And she's, "You're driving."
There you go. Just don't tell your mom,
Exactly.
right? Like,
Don't
good boy.
tell anybody.
Yeah.
But she taught me how to drive.
Sweet.
And we did the craziest things. You know how when it's raining and there's puddles in the parking lot?
Uh-huh.
Well, she would take all of us kids, pack us in her those station wagons, you know, the ones where you can you used to sit at the back and you used to look out.
Yes, we had one too. Yeah.
with the wood paneling on
Oh,
the
yeah.
side,
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
So we would get in the station wagon, and all the kids would pile in. And if it rained, we'd be going straight to the grocery store,
Uh-huh.
and we would be barreling through those.
Yeah.
And she loved it.
Oh, yeah.
And then she would stop, and then she'd have us all get out, and then we would play in this dirty, muddy, gross water.
Oh, yeah,
With
yeah.
you know.
My grandson loves to do the same thing. Just like, splash, 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 splash.
Exactly.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And she would say, "It's just water," you know. Now, being older, I'm like, "Grandma, it was water with gas and oil and
Yeah,
dirt."
that's what baths and showers are for.
Exactly.
It's okay.
We had fun.
You've got a funky little business card. Okay?
Yes, I
and I'm
do.
going to give you a hard time on this.
I know you are. I know
Okay.
exactly what you're going to tell me.
So, Kim Duncan,
Yes.
what is the title on your business card?
It says Queen of the Kingdom.
Okay,
Yes.
and
I
do
know
explain.
it's.
There's
I
got to
know
be a
it's
story
kind
behind
of.
that.
I know it's pretty bold to
Yeah,
have
it's
that.
okay.
Yeah, but I believe that every woman deserves to be the queen of her kingdom.
Yeah, totally agree.
And so that's what I do in my life is, you know, I've had some tough times in my life, Doug. There's been some really tough times when I didn't even want to get out of my bed. I was literally scared of life. I didn't like myself. In fact, I was very overweight, and I really just didn't like me. My husband and I were both overweight at the time, and we went through a really dark time in our life. We were married, but we didn't have a lot of the, we were emotionally just broken. Physically, we felt broken. Financially, we were broken. And our relationship was there, but it was tough.
Okay.
And through that experience, I learned a lot about myself. We began to learn some techniques that helped us to change our mindset.
Okay.
And it was really hard, and it took some years for me to change my mindset about who I am and what I'm doing and why I'm here on this planet. And through that time, I realized as I started Because when in a place like that, you're really I was inward thinking, only about me. As I began to come out of that fog or numbness, I guess you could say, there's like leaves and they're green and they're on the trees and they're beautiful, and I started to see life in a way I'd never seen it before through this just practice of teaching myself how to think different. And through this process, I started looking around and I started seeing other people that I could relate to. They were in the place that I had been before. And as I saw that, I wanted to help them.
Yeah.
And I wanted them to be able to see that they could have a better life themselves. And so I began reaching out and teaching and talking to people, and that really, not only did it help them, but it also helped me to heal even to another level. And so that's where this phrase, Queen of the Kingdom, came from. I didn't know I was having a class of women called Queen of the Kingdom. This was not in my idea at all. And he goes, so if you wanted to go to that class, raise your hand if you would go, and they raised their hands. He says, well, go ahead and go back to the back of the room and you can sign up for the class. It's such and such dollars. And so 50 women jumped up and ran to the back of the room and signed up for the class that I didn't know I was teaching.
There you go.
And that's how that began.
Well, Queen Kimberly, thank you very much for coming on Jessop's Journal today.
Thank you.
We have some lovely parting gifts from our underwriters for
Awesome.
you. So let's start off with Rustico. These folks made you your very own personalized journal.
I love it.
Love the pen here. It writes itself.
I love that.
Very cool.
Gorgeous pen. Wow.
My tailor is Tailor Cooperative. Okay, they're going to hook you up with a custom-made shirt. Okay.
Thank you.
And yeah, you can put whatever you want on there.
I'm excited.
Okay. I've been known to wear a hat or two.
Yes, you have.
JW Custom Hats is going to make you your very own personalized hat. And then, of course, we have our fun little gift pack from the folks at Ogden's Own Distillery.
Excellent.
So now, the one thing I want people to remember is stories have power. They help us understand each other. With another entry into Jessop's Journal, I'm Doug Jessop, ABC4 News.